All right, Kev, how we doing?
Hey, no bad, mate. Just the two of us.
Well, we've won 2 games in a row against Celtic. We get beaten 1 and everyone else patches it. That's it.
Everybody buggers off, aye. What a shame.
Yeah. He's just too used to seeing us beat them a lot, that's it. But
It works, mate.
So just the two of us. Welcome to This Is My Story podcast. Unfortunately, it's just the two of us, the best two, some would say, here tonight. Both of us didn't watch the game on Saturday, so we've got loads of insight to that. And you just hear our ridiculous opinions about everything else thrown in as well. So, as usual, we'll start with the headlines. So, big headline of the week, Kev, our PFA Player of the Year. What's your thoughts?
We're always going to be biased, of course we are. But if you strip it down and you have a look at how he has performed this season, off the back of how well he performed last season, I think, to be truthfully honest with you, it was effectively a given. Corbett spoke about it last week on the pod that, we were all hopeful that, of course, he would win. And if you consider that 2 players could end up bottom of the Glasgow League, were nominated. Butland, I could probably see why, given his performances. But has his performances been any better than what Shankland's has been? I would probably go as far to say no. If you strip it back and say how many points did Butland win for Rangers against how many points did Shankland win for Hearts? And I know, appreciate, different positions in the park and everything else, but that has to be taken into consideration. So yeah, I was more than chuffed. I did stay up as late as I could on Sunday night just to see, but it felt that the media was quite slow with it, which I was saying was probably a good thing. If I'm being honest with you, the longer it goes with no big fanfare about a Celtic or Rangers player winning Player of the Year, the more chance it is for Shankland to win it. But yeah, well chuffed for him, and hope that he can stay and continue in that particular vein of form that he's shown over the last 2 years.
Absolutely, I did have to laugh. I was a bit like you. Like all the other awards kind of came through. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention, but it seemed that Manager of the Year, Team of the Year, Goal of the Year, whatever was announced quick, and then it said Young Player of the Year, and then it was about 2 hours in between. I don't know if that was the dinner time for the lot of them or what. But, that was it. I have to ask you though, Kev. I have to ask. How can overweight, technically not good player that's just a penalty merchant win the award? That's a direct quote, by the way. That's direct quote.
Very good point. Although this season, of course, there has been, he missed 3 in a row. So from that point of view, and if you also look at the fact that I think he's way down with 5 or 6 assists this season, as well as it just goes to show he isn't just a one-trick pony. He does actually have ability, and again, as we've said before, we see him week in, week out. We see what he brings to the team. We see how he links play, how he can be that man up front on his own. He brings so much to the actual team itself, and I guess at the end of the day, that's a little bit of what they're looking for in that award.
Absolutely,
it's not just striker of the year or midfield of the year or whatever. It's player of the year, and he has been instrumental in a lot of the good play that we've shown, especially since beginning of November.
Agreed. I completely agree. Everything you said in terms of performances, his ability that he's brought, the certain parts that he's brought to his game, he's changed a lot. He's got more involved. He's driving force for everything we do, essentially, and a big reason why we're so far ahead in third as well. And that's Shankland. But obviously I was quoting certain Celtic fans, or I don't even know how many thousand Celtic fans were annoyed at the fact that one of their players hasn't won an award, yet they've won everything else in the last 10, 12 years or whatever. But the fact that the PFA Player of the Year is voted by the other players. That surely is more than enough reason for anyone to win it ahead of Matt O'Reilly, for example. It just blows my mind that it can cause such a... Well, it doesn't actually, because it is a certain green and white team from Glasgow that's getting overly triggered by it, isn't it?
Well, there is that, and I said it last week. The last non-Old Firm player to actually win this particular accolade was the boy at Motherwell, and for that point of view, it just goes to show how monopolised the Scottish game actually is by both of them. And what I would say is, with regards to O'Reilly, he has had a fantastic season. He's a great season. He possibly did go off the boil a little bit through January, February, when there was so much being written about him moving to Atletico Madrid, and maybe that took his eye off the ball. And if you take that as a consideration in regards to him maybe not winning it, again, that leaps more praise on Shankland, given how much speculation was sounded out in the month of December and January around him possibly moving on to another club. It shows you that actually he done the right thing, pushed it to the back of his mind, or just never thought about it whatsoever, and let his football do the talking. Because during December and January, when that chat was rife across the newspapers, was probably two of the best months that he's actually had for us.
Aye, very right. He just kept on scoring at that point, wasn't he? He was a few games in a row, and if not, it was he's sorry, he seems to score all the time, but especially at that point in time as well. But and to be honest with you, as you say, Riley is, there's no doubt about it, he's a technically great player, and to be honest with you, he's probably, if you put it, he is probably the best player in this league, but he's not the best player of the season, if you know what I mean. Yeah. That's what it comes down to, isn't it? But
yeah, and I mean, we could be seamless in saying, look at the pass he had on Saturday for their goal. That's the kind of thing that he can produce. The question is, has he produced it enough? And given the fact that, as you rightly said earlier, the Player of the Year award that Shankland won on Sunday night was voted for by his peers, it would say to me that his peers generally believe that Shankland over the season has been performing at a higher level and pushed the club on. So for that point of view, there's no more discussion required for it. He won it. That's what will go down in history books, and O'Reilly and whoever else can cry tears quite happily to take on board those particular tears and wash my face in them every morning.
Agreed. That's a good way to end it, Kev. Obviously, there was other awards that night. We had Manager of the Year, McGlynn. Goalie of the Year was Matondo, and who was the Player of the Year?
Wilson was
David Watson, wasn't it?
Watson, yeah. Kilmarnock. Don't really know much about the young lad. Yes, the Matondo goal was a good finish, but again, we've all got our own preferences in regards to that. That particular accolade, I would go as far to say.
So against St Mirren,
yeah, his goal against St Mirren, Forrest's goal against Hibs. We don't want to really go over that one because it never resulted in 3 points and a win. You could name a number of strikes by other players across the league since August that have probably scored half decent goals. But I think what, in my opinion, is the reason I do like that Matondo goal is the fact that was the last minute of the game, and it was, had Rangers lost that game, that was it. The title was gone really for them. But to at least get a point and not lose any sort of gap in regards to the Celtic and Rangers gap at the moment was quite significant as a goal. So it's not going to make any difference to me, to be honest.
Agreed. I agree with you there. To be honest with you, you know what was good to see, and compared to last year's award for the Young Player of the Year, I think there was very little options in the Young Player of the Year last year, whereas this season, like, Watson's been playing very well for Kilmarnock. He's been going in and out their squad. Then you had Miller, who's getting rave reviews. Cameron, who's been brilliant, and then the boy McCausland for Rangers as well. So I think that's good to see. And what I would realistically like to see next season would be, for example, a Macaulay Tate to be in there in that conversation. And that should be a goal for these guys that are coming through our team. And hopefully in the next coming years we can see them going for that award as well. So that'd be good to see.
Yeah, I think they're currently anyway, they're the two that probably stand out. Denham and Macaulay Tate for that particular award. I know there's been a lot of talk in the papers today around the young laddie Wilson, James Wilson, because I know that he's done all right. Well, he's done all right in my opinion in regards to the B team. But yeah, these are the kind of things that those boys need to, aspire to. They've still got a number of years in which they can actually win that title. And yeah, there's no reason why not. I think what we've seen with Naismith since that turnaround in November is that he's actually bringing this type of player on.
Yep.
We shot down Nielsen for maybe not bringing through that kind of youngster into the team, whereas Naismith's done it. And I think he's done it in a wise way. He's given them a couple of games here, or he's brought them on for half an hour, 15 minutes, whatever it may be, just to bring them into the game without putting a great deal of pressure on them. And then if you consider that Denham made the mistake at Dens Park back at the beginning of the season, around about September, October time. You might not remember it, Tam, because you were pushed in the back of my car. So for that point of view, you've got to maybe consider, the fact that he made a mistake. I don't think he dropped him, but I don't think he dropped him in that sort of, you made a mistake, so we're going to drop you. It's more you made a mistake. What we'll do is we'll work on it. We'll bring you back up. We'll, effectively give you more confidence once again, because that'll knock any young lad at that level. So that's a great thing. You then look at, the mistake that Macaulay Tate made in the semi-final a couple of weeks back. Same thing sort of happened there, is that Tate wasn't in the team for Saturday at Parkhead. But again, it's about building the lad's confidence back up, because there was 2, 3, 4 games in which he was coming on and he was willing to make that pass and make himself available for a difficult pass, because that was the right thing to do, rather than actually shirk any form of responsibility and just let a long ball go.
Totally, and you didn't want to lose that. That's why we've been so complimentary of him this season, isn't it? It's like, seems to be one that's finding a bit of pass. I didn't actually see that about Wilson the day. Wait, what was the chat there?
So it's effectively the fact that James Wilson, playing for the B team, came through with Fox, and he's done pretty well. Don't get me wrong. And how Naismith sees him as a potential for more caps next season. But again, I think from that point of view, I think I do think that what Naismith will do is he will try to bring him in at different times. The games that maybe are where he can build confidence and he can build himself up. So from that point of view, it's another long-term sort of plan to put him in play. But I have an interesting question for you, and you mentioned about McGlynn winning the Manager of the Year award. Is it right for him to win it? And secondly, is it right to actually announce it with, for some leagues, a number of games still to go?
I assume as well that he had already been, so they would have cast the votes, would have known that John McGlynn had won on Saturday prior to their game where they nearly got beat. So it wouldn't have been an unbeaten season. And to be honest, the winning manager of League One that's not went unbeaten, don't think wins that award. So especially with a team that's probably got the highest budget in the league by quite considerable distance as well. So for me, I think it's ridiculous, but that's a different story. Completely.
I find it. Yeah, I find it strange that we are actually giving an award out at this point. I think what they should effectively do is, and this goes for all awards in Scotland. I think they should do the awards due after the actual season is finished. And I appreciate that, some of the players might be going to the Euros, might be going away on holiday or whatever. But you just make it, the night after or something like that. So every game finishes on the Sunday, I think it is, for the lower league. The Premier League lower league? Is that what it's called? Or relegation league?
The relegation group. That's what it's called.
Some group that I can't mind what it's actually called. But yeah, make it the night after those games, and then for that point of view, or even make it the night of those games, because none of the players that are going to be winning awards are going to be involved in that particular league. But at least you can turn around and say, well, this guy won the league and possibly League Cup, and he's got the chance to win the Scottish Cup the following weekend. There's another argument in regards to the fact that should he maybe winning a treble in your first. Fully appreciate it's a big ask of him at the moment, but hey,
but if he wins
things
it,
have happened.
He's probably manager of the year, isn't he?
Correct.
And that's I know it's especially the state they were in when what was his name? Michael Beale was in there before. So I think it's ridiculous, to be honest. But it is what it is. It's always been the case. It's not like the SFA to have something organised terribly, is it?
No.
Oh, it's actually the PFA. Is that different? That is different. Apologies, PFA. Probably the same thing though.
Aye. It's all
bureaucratic nonsense anyway, isn't it? But aye. I think we've covered PFA. Minus the fact, obviously, after Shankland winning, he's in the news, he's in the papers, and that leads to, as the last 6 months have been, what does the future hold for Lawrence Shankland? What did you think his comments about? Didn't he specifically say he was staying? Didn't specifically say he was going? But obviously, as a professional, he probably has to keep his cards to his chest, his options open, didn't he?
Yeah, I think from that point of view, I think what he's always going to be pressed on it. Your Glasgow media are always going to push for it, especially around some of the rumours. But I think he handled that very, very well. As he rightly says, he is still a Hearts player. He is for another 12 months. And this summer will be a very important discussion between the club and him and his family and him. There's a number of aspects to be brought into the equation. If Hearts want to improve season on season, if we are saying that fourth is a bad performance or performing season for us, then what we need to be doing is keeping players like Shankland, who showed this season that 20 odd goals per season is not a flash in the pan for him. And that's something that he'll probably have to have a think about as well. He's been successful here. He's done very well. He's continuously, helping improve others round about him. He's the club captain. All that is, to him, it would appear anyway, is important. If he moves on and goes somewhere else, gets a little bit extra coin, and I can understand why he would want to go and get extra coin. We all would. We would all jump ship from our existing jobs if we were going to be offered, a 50% hike in our salary. Of course we would.
I'd take 5.
Think. But you've got to look at it, and you've got to consider it. All these kind of things. The grass is not always greener on the other side. We've all probably worked with people who have left the same business but then wanted to come back. And I've proposed this to a number of people. There are not many players who have left Heart of Midlothian Football Club that have gone on to bigger and greater things. Yes, you could
certainly probably look at times anyway.
Yeah, you could look at Craig Gordon, going to Sunderland, having a possibly career-threatening injury, then coming back and building his way back, getting the happiest man walking through the doors at Tynecastle again. We all spoke about it. Then another career-ending injury in December of 2022, but he's fought his way back. Okay, maybe not the same player, but there's not many of them that have ever left the club to actually go on to bigger and better things. You would have to go back to the days, Mackay, for example, going and playing for like Tottenham, winning a cup double down there in the 60s. I mean, You know, Alec Young going to Everton, and that's a name that you'll never ever know anything about, Tam. But
Nope.
these are guys from way
The only
back.
thing
You
I
know?
was going to say is Aaron Hickey, but that's fine. But
Yeah,
he's a young
Hickey's,
boy. That's a wee bit different. I definitely think that's completely different.
yeah, but you know that there's, you know, we're looking at one or two players. You know, it's there's not many of them that do it. I'm not saying that Shankland couldn't, right? I'm not saying that at all. But I think from his point of view, I think what he is going to do, or what would appear to, from what he said, it's a big decision. It's not just on him. It's on those round about him. It's on what the club can offer him. But as we've said many times before, if the club want to progress and progress in the way we expect them to progress, then let's be truthfully honest, third is minimum next year. Third should have been where we were last year. Third should be minimum again next year, and that would have been 4 seasons in a row in third place. Coin that comes in.
£20 million.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, that's where we can talk about. And I know we're going to talk about it as the, you know, the result on Sunday giving us league football, or European league football, and the importance of actually, hopefully, getting a good draw in the Europa League, because the Europa League gives us an extra couple of games, takes you into next year for the leagues. So it would be interesting to see who we get.
Actually forgot that when we were prepping pre-show that we've finally confirmed Europe. So that was just nice, wee seamless link. We can.
I wasn't going to say. I was blagging it, mate, and I thought you would have just jumped on the same bandwagon, but you've made an absolute rip roaring of it.
And I pointed it out. I've pointed out how well prepared I am, and that's about it. But we will talk about that rather than or shall we talk about it now? Let's just talk about it now.
Seamless,
so mate. Yeah, Europe confirmed. Party. We've both done trips 2 years ago when we were away. What you hoping for, Kev? What you thinking? So you obviously want Europa League. I'm not sure I do want Europa League. The money's not that big a difference, for one.
Mate,
but I just think we'll get battered.
I agree. I understand that the quality of teams that have already or look like they will have qualify for Europa League is a next level. But when I know you're saying that it's not a great deal of money. It's an extra 2 games, so 2 games extra through TV rights, through ticket sales, hospitality, all that kind of stuff becomes, in my opinion, pretty big business. So if you can qualify for the Europa League and get those, I'm sure it's 8 games altogether. That's a big difference. I think that commands between 10 and 12 million pound.
Fair enough.
You know, so I think
you make a good point. That extra game could be at White Hart Lane, not White Hart Lane, the London Stadium or whatever. If I'm just thinking of who's going to qualify from England, what's that? 50,000 tickets split between 2.
I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works with the European games. I don't think there's a 50-50 split in regards to the.
Okay.
I don't think it's as much as that, but when you take into consideration that you're into the league setup of the Europa, even if you finish second bottom of your group, there's opportunities for you to move on, and those opportunities bring more money, and more money means the ability to recruit better players, create a gap between Aberdeen, Hibs, Motherwell, Dundee, St Mirren, whoever it may be. All that kind of stuff becomes really, really important. And from my point of view, we've really got to try where we can to try and win that playoff game. However, it is a free hit. If we don't get it, yes, you've got that backup of the Conference League. Yes, the Conference League gives you another. I think it's 6 games you get in the Conference League set up for next season. So from that point of view, I think we've just got to be big and bold and try and win. Try and get through the Europa. But if you don't, you've always got that as a backup, which, as we already know, is between £6 and £7 million.
To be fair, I seen a list of the predicted or whatever opponents for the playoff, and there's a few teams in there that you go, oh shit, that would be a bad one. But there's a few that you shouldn't be scared of, and it was like the game against Zurich where we could have came away. The other days we might have won that game, won that tie, and been in the Europa League. And it's a similar situation. It's, as you say, Kev, it is a free hit, and hopefully it's somewhere we get a good draw regardless. If it is conference, the Europa, I'm sure we'll take thousands of fans all over Europe again.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we're not daft bastards. We'll put our hand in our pocket. We'll fly. We'll get a boat. Whatever we need to do. I'm not going to coin a phrase because it's shit.
You'll say you can say it the wrong way round, like the merch we discussed last week. So
hell, aye. We'll take fans. It'll never, we will always take fans wherever we go. Numbers will always, of course, be dependent on where that particular location may be, if it's easier to get to. But we'll always have fans there. We'll always support the club. That's what we do. Personally, I've never been to Hungary. So quite fancy that. Or something where like Portugal or Spain, where it's a wee bit warmer and I can go for a week's holiday.
Yeah, I see Betis as an option at the moment for Conference League. Seville would be a nice wee trip, put it that way anyway. Actually, Braga was one of the options for the playoff. So if you wanted to go Braga, if you get some golfing in Portugal for you, Kev, there.
Sounds like a plan, mate. Sounds like a plan.
And as we've said from multiple podcasts, multiple times, interviewing different people, Tynecastle under the lights, midweek, European night, nothing beats it. So to the fact we can get guaranteed 4 games at Tynecastle, it's going to be good. And can't wait for it, to be honest.
Yep. Let's look forward to another few stamps in our passports as we pass through another set of border controls.
Of course, exactly. I suppose we've spoken about some contract things as well with Shanklin, but Neil in our community chat, I don't know if you've seen it earlier, but he was discussing something that we might do near the end of the season, but he was saying about from the current squad, 5 must stays, 5 don't care ever we have to leave, or 5 must goes. But what we were going to talk about just now is our 2, well, there's 4, but we'll disregard McGovern and Halliday because they don't really count. But we've got Benny and Haring contracts up at the moment. That's the only other 2. Any thoughts, Kev? Are they,
I think,
as Neil put it, stays, don't care, or must goes?
Yeah, I think we both know that with regards to Haring, I think he's already gone. I think he himself knows it. There's been no chat. There's been no talk. I don't even know what the situation is with his injury now. But the last I heard was that it could be career threatening, and that's how bad a problem he's got. So from that side of things, yeah, thank you very much, Peter Haring. You've given us some good times. You've definitely been a player for us over the last 8 years or something like that. 8 seasons he's been with us.
Long as that, eh?
I think it is, yeah. Six between 6 and 8 seasons he's actually had with us. So from that point of view, I think it is time to let him go. Benny's an interesting one from my point of view. I know there's a number of a number of fans that don't like him. But I think you've got to understand and remember what he's there to do. At this moment in time, he's there to break up play and move it on to a creative midfield player. We've not had a creative midfield player for a long, long time. And what then happens is, in my opinion, is that he gets that sort of push from the fans at times to be that player. But that's not who he is. That's not what he's there to do. And that's why if you remember back to a couple of seasons ago when he first joined us, before his injury, when he was playing with Haring, actually he was winning the ball and passing to Haring, and Haring could see the pass. Yeah. Haring could move forward where he needed to move forward and lay it out to a winger, Mackay or GMS or whoever it was that was in there. So from that point of view, that worked really well. And then when you consider that it's Benny and Devlin who has been in that central partnership, or Benny and Denham, or sometimes Tate, the aspect is that in my opinion, they're quite similar players. In all honesty, they're not a creative player. They're more of a ball-winning player and want to move that ball on. What you're then finding is they're both actually just cancelling each other out because they both want to sit deep rather than push forward. And what that then does is pushes more pressure on other players to become that player, that person to come inside. And we've spoken about George Grant. Yeah, George Grant can do that. George Grant, in my opinion, can also be damn lazy and let players walk past him, which frustrates fans and probably frustrates some of these players around about him as well. I know he's creative. I know he's created more goals and got goal options and goal attempts and all that shite. But sometimes he can be lazy, and I think that's what actually infuriates most fans.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's sad to say, but I think Haringa's probably done. There's nothing to say about that. But he's been up there with our better players for the last however many years you said, Kev. Benny is an interesting one. It's hard. If I understand the chat is the offer's there, and it's down to him if he wants to accept it. I like Benny. I think he's probably. I don't understand the flack he gets. Well, I do understand it. I just don't think people understand how much we would miss him if he wasn't in that squad for the last 6 months we've had him. I know he's been in and out at points, but he's integral to the way we play and getting the ball forward. And I think we would need to replace him with someone off that ilk that's going to win the ball back quickly, recycle the play just as quick as well. And because I don't think we have anyone that does the same role he really does. I know you're saying they'll stay back, but I just don't think it's to the same effect that they may really have in terms of winning the ball and passing it on and doing it that way. But aye, it's interesting. We'll see what happens, but I'd be happy for him to stay on.
I don't have any particular issues with that. I'd be quite happy to see Benny in a Hearts shirt again next season. But somebody needs to be round about him that, and whether that player is Devlin, given his performance against Kilmarnock a week past Saturday, is still, in my opinion, still out there. It's up in the air as whether or not that's the player he can be. But we still need to have somebody who is creative, in my opinion.
I think that to be honest with you, Devlin had I caught the first half and a bit of the second on Saturday, but I felt he was again doing that duty as well. But the fact we've got your Danda and Spittle coming in as well, that's something that hopefully might plug the gap a wee bit. But I don't want, you know what I'm like for making predictions and giving them the kiss of death, so I'm not going to say anything.
No, but it's an interesting element to look at, and again, there is a question in there: is Danda, if the news is true, right? Because the club still not came out and said anything about it. But if Danda and what's his name is coming in, Spittle is coming in to boost that team. Is that to play European games, or is that to play the Sunday game after the European game? Because we know perfectly well that they can perform at that level. I think it's an interesting one.
I think you're right. I don't, especially. I don't. Would you say there are Europa League players? Would you say? Would you say? I would be interested to have a conversation at one point, but could we go through the squad and say they're the level we need to be to in the Europa League? There's probably very few that we could say are, but I do think having proven top quality players to play that Sunday game or in a rotation, whatever game it is a great option to have. So I think you're probably right. It would be the latter in terms of the league and playing against these sides that they've played it week in, week out for the last however many years in Spittle case and 3-4 years in Danda's case as well.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting aspect to look at from that point of view. But at the end of the day, it's a good discussion point to have. There's not many teams in Edinburgh that have that ability to have that discussion point this summer. Let's put it that way.
Very true, very true. And I think it's going to be a long summer. The Shanklin stuff, the European draws, I'm sure there'll be multiple rumours going about or signings coming in as well. So it's going to be an interesting old summer.
Certainly is, mate. But the club, that's on the club as well. If the club want to do things, they can and do business early, which I would prefer. It would be ideal as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, when is the Europa League playoff? August, is it?
End of August, 22nd and 29th, I think, are the dates.
It's like after
set in my head.
After the second league game or first league game, 1 and 2, isn't it?
It'll be after. In fact, it might be even after the second. Let me just check. Yeah, playoffs are the 22nd and 29th of August.
Right.
So that's where we'll have that back-to-back games. Thereafter, as I say, will all depend on what the results are over those two games, of whether or not we play the 25th, 26th of September or the 26th of September in the Conference League.
Yeah, that makes sense. No,
I mean, I've just realised actually, match day 7 is just after my birthday. So please, Hearts, get to the Europa League league group or league stage matches, because then that way I can have a wee trip away for my birthday. Nice of them.
That would be a good way.
If they want to pay for it as well, that'd be even nicer.
Or you'll just get a home draw against like some.
It's the kind of shit that would actually happen for me, wouldn't it?
Like, I don't know even know what team, the New Saints or something for Wales. I don't know. It's something. I should have said them. They'll probably beat us now if we do get drawn with them. So there you go. But that's what it is. We'll move on anyway. Obviously, myself and you were at the Gorgie Ultras fundraiser at the Gorgie Suite on Saturday evening. I had a great night. I thought it was brilliant, and I know a lot of money was raised. Just want to point out, obviously, the Shankland's boots, that I think it was the one that he scored the Hibs last minute goal with. Is that correct?
Yeah, 30th of was it 30th or 29th of December, whatever date it was. Easter Road, pulls it down. Can't mind that centre half's name, but didn't put on much of a fight. And with his bad foot, I believe. I knew who it was, mate. Don't worry.
Oh, sorry.
And with his bad foot, curled into the top bag. I think it's one of those goals that we'll all remember where we were at that particular point. In my opinion, goes down alongside goals from Wayne Foster down there, Phil Stamp, Robbo getting the goal in the last minute in a 2-2 draw. All these games, you remember where you were when those goals went in. Thankfully for most of them, I was at Easter Road, but unfortunately missed that one. But the Gorgie Ultras night on Saturday was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Didn't really know what to expect, if I'm honest. Comedian was he was a comedian. But the guy on the acoustic guitar was fantastic. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Everybody enjoyed him. He's more than welcome to come back.
Absolutely. And I understand. We might not have seen the last of the Ultras this season in terms of some stuff they've got planned. So that's about it. But as I say, I believe it's on the social media, just Gorgie Ultras. The boots are up for auction. It allows them to keep making these displays, doing as much as possible that they can for the club, and they're getting behind the team. And I think it's been, if we're summing up the season, which I think we will, I think the introduction of the Ultras this season has been fantastic for me at Tynecastle, and it's changed the atmosphere compared to what it has been known for in the last few years, to be honest. So yeah,
really good. And the good thing about the way in which the boys are actually organising this, it's not an auction, so it's not a case of the guy with the deepest pockets can go and win it. Okay, you can go and buy more tickets, but that doesn't really mean anything. You could buy one ticket and win a pair of Shankland's boots. That could be a massive thing. At £10 a ticket as well. They've priced it really well. So from that point of view, be good to go to their website, golgieultras.co.uk. You can pay with Apple Pay on their website as well, which makes things a lot simpler. And it runs till the beginning of June, 5th of June it closes. So head along to the website. We'll put the link and details in our show notes, should you wish to put some money the way of the Gorgie Ultras and have a chance to win the Scottish Player of the Year, Lawrence Shankland's boots.
She's got the sales, Kev. That was great. Like it.
Yeah, I've been there, mate. Done that one.
Absolutely. Final thing, just another wee note. If you've ordered from ourselves in regards to the merch, first set of orders are about to arrive with ourselves. We then have to just pack them up, post them out. So next couple of weeks I would expect them to start getting sent out, but you'll see on our social media, you can have a look at the pictures we have of them arriving. If you still want to buy, go to thisismystory.bigcartel.com as well, and we'll keep the shop open a wee bit longer just to see how we get on, and if there's any more orders we'll get them ordered up as well.
Some cracking tops to take. I think that'd be a good move.
I lost you there, but I'm sure it was great, Kev. So yeah.
Must have been your internet. My internet's always good.
Yours is always good, I know, but it's definitely not. Right, we put it off long enough. We basically spoke for as long as we can without speaking about the Hibs game. Hibs game, same team, different city, but Celtic game. Go for it, Kev.
I was going to say I'll let you give your thoughts on the game itself, and what your opinion was of how we performed.
To be honest with you, I thought first half we were actually all right. We started well. Couple of chances at the beginning, and I thought we were trying to have a go at them, and it wasn't the usual what we had previously said about going to Parkhead and sitting 10 men behind the ball, 11 men behind the ball. I thought we were actually trying to take the game to them, which was good. But as usual, losing a goal within the first, I can't even remember what time it was this time, 7 minutes, something like that.
Yep.
It's the story we've seen last 2 seasons against, in any big games against Old Firm, Europe, whatever. And it kind of knocked the stuffing out a wee bit. They had some chances after when we were 1 down to get back to 1-1. I think if we'd had scored, I think it was Devlin that had a really good opportunity. We had scored that. It could have been a different game entirely. But once Kale goes second, goes in, and as you mentioned, Kev, that pass for O'Reilly is his name, was phenomenal, to be honest. And there was. I was trying to pick faults in the defence, and I suppose probably Corbett has something to pick out about that, but you just got to put your hand up sometimes and say, fair enough.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, I think we could have done better at the first goal.
Yeah, definitely.
The second, you're right. Give O'Reilly and Furukashi the credit. They've worked possibly on that. Whether you just do it as a bounce game in training or you're mucking about and pissing about with the ball, then that's the kind of thing you look for. But yeah, I mean, if you look at there was nothing that I seen from the starting lineup that I thought would be any different. You've got the argument of, does Atkinson play in instead of Dexter? Yeah, possibly. Looking back on it with hindsight, maybe you do say yes, because I thought we were a little bit soft down that right hand side. But again, we've all said it. Limbakisa's attributes on a football park are not defending. It's not that way at all. So I think from a lineup point of view, I think that's exactly what we would have expected. I don't think there was anything you would change in regards to the lineup. I think the only thing that we didn't do well was when we got into that last third, and we've said that constantly this season. When we get into that last third, our decision making is what lets us down at times, and that's where we need to improve. And the only way we can do that is by bringing in slightly better players, which can only improve the rest of the guys that are already there.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's decision making at the end of the day. And I think it's hard. It's hard. That's where Shanklin's kind of come in the last few games. Not few games, throughout the season, sorry. But then in the last few games, he's not really had a sniff as such. When was his last goal? It was only 3 games ago, so I can't actually. No, okay, but you know what I mean. For his standards, that's a drought at that point. So
there is that in regards to the way in which he's been playing. We all expect so much of him as a player, going weeks upon weeks of scoring goals constantly. And I think, as you rightly say, the turn that he's actually having at the moment. His last goal was Livy. Was it Livingston? Yeah, his last goal was against Livingston. Previous to that was he got an assist against Kelly, I think, in the 1-1 draw. But it's a number of weeks since he has actually scored. So for that point of view, it's maybe a case that he has maybe got something else in the back of his head. But we'll not talk about that because it's shite.
I don't think it's that. I think it's just, what have we got to play for at the moment? It must be difficult going to like Parkhead and feeling like, just when they've got a league to try and win, they get an early goal. You want to obviously disrupt them, but at the same time, yeah, I understand it. But it'd be nice to see them put the nail in the coffin of Dundee getting Europe this weekend. So that would be enough to motivate anyone. So
well, let's wait and see what Saturday brings. But that seamlessly lets us forget about Celtic Park and think about this weekend.
I suppose it's one of those things. What are we doing? Partying, sombreros, beach balls,
sunglasses,
short suit. It's maybe lovely this weekend as well, actually.
Shorts, neon sunglasses, sombreros, beach balls, and hopefully Kent can just bring along a deck chair and just stick it on the 18-yard box. I think what you've got to remember though is the last couple of games against Dundee this season have been interesting and quite entertaining games actually. When you consider the game at Dens Park back in late February, to be we came back and won that game 3-2, and then of course we had the league game only a couple of weeks before that at Tynecastle. We were done exactly the same thing. So from that point of view, Dundee have they played some half decent football, got a couple of really good midfielders, and will cause us problems on Saturday. So the players that are chosen to start the game on Saturday need to be on the ball, in my opinion, because Dundee will cause us a few problems. And we've always, we said that a few weeks back. When Hearts get into the split, it's like we just freeze. We don't actually perform very well. I think Corbett said it was average. We averaged 3 points in the split window or the split period, which is pretty poor. So from that point of view, I would think anyway we would all expect a victory on Saturday. But that victory comes with a half decent performance, in my opinion.
Yeah. What do you think we'll see in terms of team? Do you think we'll go full strength? We'll get some youngsters some minutes since the season's now done? Do you reckon we see a Scott Fraser, someone we've not really seen much yet, that's ability maybe to get signed next year? What do you think we'll see, Kev, basically? I read in the papers last week that Naismith has actually set a target of 70 points. And to hit 70 points, we need to perform. So we need effectively 2 wins. And in fact, 3, yeah.
No, we need all 3 wins now to hit that 70 point mark. And 70 points would be massive for the club. If you think about where we were at the beginning of the season, to actually end the season with 70 or 70 plus points is actually quite an accolade to have when you consider getting beat off Motherwell at home, losing to Dundee at Dens Park, poor performance at in Paisley, a number of games at the beginning of the season that had things maybe been working better off the park. Would have helped improve things and performances on the park. But to actually have that challenge of getting 70 points, Hearts need to win the next 3 games. So you need to beat Dundee on Saturday, St Mirren next Wednesday night, and then it takes it into the 18th of May against Rangers. And you just don't know. You could be finding that both those, both Celtic and Rangers are going for the title on that day, depending on what happens with other results over the next 3 games, because they play this weekend, don't they?
Aye, Saturday, Sunday, one of the two, doesn't matter. They play the Old Firm this weekend, essentially. Aye, it's interesting. Like I was having a wee conversation with my boy at work today or during the week there, but it was like talking about how Have Hearts realistically ran away with it. But we only finished the last time we finished third, we were on 61 points. We're already on 63, so it'd be good to see get a few more points on the board and really prove that we deserve to be in third place essentially. So completely agree with Kev. I think we might see minutes for youngsters as depending on how the game goes, certainly. But I don't think it'll be anyone we've not seen before this season. It'll be your Denham, your Tate, maybe Wilson, somebody like that. Pollock, maybe. I think he might be out at the moment. It doesn't really matter. Any of them anyway. But it'll be an interesting game. And as you say, Dundee have still got something to play for. So
it's exactly
it'll be a tough game.
Exactly that. They need to finish at least 5th. As I say, but from our point of view, you could look upon it that win on Saturday, that means Dundee cannot finish in 5th place. We then have St Mirren and Paisley next Wednesday night. If you take points there as well as, because they might go, well, Dundee can't catch us, so we don't really have anything to worry about, from that side of things. It'll be it could mean that you're in a better position come the last game of the season. So from that point of view, it'd be quite interesting.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. To be fair, if St Mirren win at the weekend, I think they have to win at the weekend to catch 4th, essentially, to catch Kelly. Wait, let me just, it's on the screen. 6 points between them. So, they would have to win and then win against us. So, that's the next 3 games are about us stopping other people doing other
stuff. Every game should be about us.
exactly. And that's what it is. So, no, I think anything else to add pre-Saturday minus a prediction before we go there?
No, I don't think so. As I say, I wouldn't be surprised to see the same starting lineup, maybe with the change that Limbiuska sits on the bench and Atkinson comes in. Because I do think that Atkinson is maybe a slightly better defender. Appreciate you're at home, but as I say, I think the right thing to do is be solid and push on from there. We've done really well with sort of goals conceded this season, so we've been strong in that point. But as I say, there's still from my point of view, there's still a team out there that we can possibly put 4 or 5 past. Yeah, we were close to doing it against Livingston a couple of weeks back, but it just means everybody needs to perform, and Saturday's game would be a great opportunity to do that. Yeah,
and it would be good to, as you say, have a wee clean sheet and also batter a team at the same time. So exactly. It seems to be that case where we say how well we played, but it doesn't reflect that, and it would be good to finish on that way as well. So
exactly. So it lines up into predictions, and I'll let you go first for a change.
Oh God, I think it will be a 2-1 win to Hearts.
And I will go with 3-1.
3-1. Fair enough. Take both of them. Should be a good day. Sun will be out. Sunglasses on. Beer gardens, whatever we're at. So we'll I'm sure we'll enjoy.
That's the one thing that we don't really have. There's not really a beer garden close by. Well, you've got
just the Armillan,
the Armillan Hotel, but really, other than that, there's not many.
Yeah.
Someone needs to get sorted out about that.
It's just the space, I suppose. All the other wee pubs didn't really have a back bit.
Wow.
What?
Just sounds really strange for you to say that a pub doesn't have a back bit. But anyway.
I mean, like a garden area. There you go.
Guess that pub.
Let's end. Okay, cheers, Kev. Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll have a full team on. We keep saying Sunday, and then we've not done a Sunday a week. So next week, I'll say.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
fingers crossed we can organise it for Sunday night. But yeah, good to catch up, Tam.
Absolutely, mate. Have a good one, and we'll speak to you later.
Catch you later.